Every organization faces the exact same mathematical dilemma. The market consists of infinite customer variations, but the company only has finite resources. The amateur reflex is to treat the market as a homogeneous monolith. The logic seems safe. Target everyone equally and you maximize your potential revenue. But attempting to appeal to everyone guarantees strategic dilution. Your messaging becomes vague, your product development loses focus, and your capital is burned trying to reach people who will never buy. To survive, organizations need a systematic method to filter this chaos. This is the STP Framework. It breaks down into 3 sequential stages: segmentation, targeting, and positioning. This is a rigid logic gate. It directly links raw customer analysis on one end to highly calibrated market action on the other. Marketing is an evidence-based filtration system. Treating it as an exercise in mass persuasion is a fast track to irrelevance. The first stage is segmentation. This process systematically dissects raw, chaotic market data to isolate meaningful behavioral patterns. We can slice consumer markets using several structural variables: demographic traits like age or income, geographic location, psychographic lifestyle data, or observable purchasing behavior. However, the most strategically rigorous method is needs-based segmentation. Instead of grouping people by who they are, you group them by the specific problems they are trying to solve. This identical logic applies to B2B markets. The foundation remains the same, but the variables adapt to organizational behavior. Instead of lifestyle or age, you segment businesses by their industry, their scale of operations, and their specific purchasing approach. To see why superficial metrics fail, consider an ed tech provider selling online business courses. Initially, they segmented the adult learning market by age. The result was chaotic. A 30-year-old corporate executive and a 30-year-old unemployed graduate have identical demographics, but entirely conflicting demands. When they pivoted to a needs-based segment, the learner profiles reorganized around their specific motivations rather than their age. These distinct clusters identified diverging requirements. Career switchers prioritize affordable, job-ready certificates, while executives demand flexible scheduling and high-level networking. Segmentation maps what actually exists in a market. It pulls an organization out of blind assumption and provides total, evidence-based visibility. Visibility is not enough. The second stage, targeting, is the rigorous application of viability criteria to select your exact competitive battleground. A segment might look massive on paper, but still be strategically useless to your specific organization. We test viability by pushing these newly identified segments through rigid filter gates. We check the segment size, its profitability, and its accessibility. If a group is too small or too expensive to reach, it drops out. Then we apply the critical secondary filters: competitive intensity and strategic fit. You might find a profitable market, but if it is already saturated with entrenched competitors or does not align with your capabilities, you cannot win. Once a highly viable segment survives the filtration process, you have to decide exactly how to deploy your resources against it. You could use undifferentiated marketing, pushing a single offer to the entire market, or differentiated marketing, building distinct offers for multiple surviving segments.
But for high precision, organizations turn to concentrated marketing to achieve niche dominance, or micro-marketing to target hyper-personalized individual accounts. For example, a new premium coffee brand lacks the capital to fight massive beverage conglomerates everywhere. They must utilize concentrated targeting, ignoring the mass market entirely to dominate a single grid square of urban professionals. Targeting is an exercise in sacrifice. Intentionally ignoring large portions of the market is the prerequisite for a high-return deployment. Now that you have a target, you must engineer how they perceive you. This is positioning. The central tool here is the positioning map. This chart plots customer value dimensions against one another, mapping where existing competitors sit in the consumer's mind. By analyzing overcrowded quadrants, a new brand can plot its own precise coordinate in a defensible, unoccupied gap. Claiming a position on a map is useless unless you back it up with tangible value differentiation. Organizations generate this differentiation through superior product features, highly responsive service quality, streamlined channel access, or a seamless customer experience. There is a strict rule of mathematical alignment at play. Every single element of your marketing mix must flawlessly validate the position you claim. If you claim a premium market position but utilize cheap packaging or a slow website, the operational mismatch instantly shatters your brand credibility. Returning to our edtech provider, if they position a course for busy working professionals, they cannot just write a clever slogan. They must engineer the operational reality of asynchronous scheduling to prove it. The required output of this phase is a concise positioning statement defining exactly who the target is, the specific need addressed, the main benefit, and why the brand is uniquely credible. A strong position is not an advertising campaign. It is a set of rigid operational constraints that dictate exactly how the business behaves. When we bring the entire architecture back together, we see the complete logic gate. Raw data enters, gets sliced by the segmentation grid, drops through the targeting viability filter, and locks onto an exact positioning coordinate. Deep market understanding strictly dictates market choice, which in turn dictates how you communicate value. The ultimate output of this framework is the value proposition. This proposition acts as a laser-focused signal, reaching the exact target segment while intentionally ignoring the rest of the market. You cannot skip steps. Targeting without prior segmentation leads to severe capital drain. Positioning without a clear target creates an incoherent, useless brand identity. The STP framework acts as an organizational algorithm, converting chaotic customer variables into a highly focused, defensible strategy. No organization possesses the capability to serve all customers equally well. The true power of this framework is that it forces the most difficult, necessary choice in business, deciding exactly who the company will not serve. Embracing this disciplined constraint is the only reliable method for generating market dominance. Effective marketing strategy is never about achieving widespread appeal. It is about engineering an unfair advantage within a precisely defined battleground.